Welcome to Living on the B-Side, where music and stories come together to inspire and transform. I'm your host Birgit, and in every episode we explore the universal language of music, how it shapes our lives, connects us, and tells the stories that define us. Through heartfelt conversations and powerful melodies, we uncover the magic that makes music so much more than just sound. Welcome, B-Siders, to this episode, and I am very excited to welcome Naila to the B-Side today. Welcome, welcome.
Thank you.
I'm very glad you're joining us today, and I can sense it will be a really interesting conversation, and hopefully also inspire others, give them some nudges to ponder about. But also because you're a musician, amongst many other things, and I realize you do have a album out, which I love the title of it. I'm grateful. That's correct, right?
It is.
Yeah, now that your album's out there and it's in the world and people are listening to it, how does that feel for you that it's out there?
Oof. It's been such a fascinating process. It feels like a level of vulnerability and exposure, um, and openness, I guess, to critique and various interpretations. So I feel there's that element of it. And simultaneously, it feels like art for me is a vocation, like something that I feel like I have to do. I have to make things. So in that sense, it feels like I've done the thing I'm supposed to do. And so that feeling of having done the thing I feel like I'm supposed to do and am called to do outweighs the feelings that come afterwards of like, oh my goodness, like I've just shared all of these things and it's not mine to just kind of hold on to anymore. It's going to have its own life, which is like scary, but also really exciting.
Mm. You mentioned a few interesting words there, like vulnerability and putting it out there, not knowing what's going to happen with it. And I believe you've had a bit of a pause between making music. That's right, isn't it? Um, I would love to find out what brought you back to making music. What brought you back to stepping into these emotions of like vulnerability and uncertainty to a certain degree?
It's the calling. It's
Mm.
the feeling like I work in different artistic modes. So I make different kinds of art. But it's the feeling of I need to make music. Like I want to collect a group of songs and express them in an idea and hold them. Like and I want to work. That's what it is. Like sometimes the feeling is like the feeling that I have, I know that it needs to be a play, for example. Or I know that it's a poem, and so that's how it comes out. But there just have been moments in my life so far where I've really felt called to express through music. And often, like, not always because I have songs in my mind and then I'm thinking, oh, I have these songs and so I want to collect them. It's more actually like I want to make an album. I want to make a collection of songs and then I start and then I do that. So yeah, this and so far in my life it's been these longer breaks of 4 or 5 years in between albums, and which also just means tons of life lived. Like I lived so much life between my last two, my like first album and my fourth one, even my third and fourth. Like so much life lived. Yeah,
A lot can happen even just in 12 months, let alone 3, 4 years, right?
exactly.
Hmm.
Ex- Yeah.
And I can sense that, like you said, you do art in many forms, and I get this kind of vibe or energy that you're very in tune with what needs to come out in what form, or is that how it works? Or do you like wake up one morning and go, for example, I need to write a poem because that's just how I've been guided, so to speak. Is that how it works for you?
No, it's the more of the first that you described that I the feeling of expression is guides the format. Um
Okay.
so if it feels like something that I guess if I like sometimes like when it's short and clear, like in those moments it feels like short poems. And there's something that like Audre Lorde talks about, the really important lesbian black feminist scholar from an artist, writer, activist from the US in the 70s, 60s and 70s. But she talked about poetry not being a luxury. Like poetry is not a luxury, is the essay that she's most known for. And in it, she talks about how for women, poetry is this moment in the busyness of all of the various aspects of our lives that we can capture thoughts. And then from those, that capturing, it can lead to action. And so there are moments when I know like I just need to express this in a poem because of life constraints and time constraints. Like there have been moments when I've only been able, like stretches of months and months and months when it's only a little poem here or there because life is so full. Like yeah. But when there's a bit more space, I think that's when I think there's music. Or
Mm,
yeah, because it's a
mhm,
different conceptual space and it's just this collaboration too. And so much of my work is
mhm,
solo. So it's I have to feel that kind of openness as well to collaborate and to hear other people's perspectives and feel like I have something to say, you know, in a
mm,
way that a poem, like I may never share that. Like the vast majority of my poems, like nobody other than maybe me will ever even read them because that's not their
mhm,
function, you know? Whereas
mm,
I don't have completed mixed and mastered songs that are unreleased. Like I
okay.
haven't had yeah, I don't have that. So it's a different level of time commitment and of
Mhm.
collaboration and of commitment to sharing as well. Um, yeah.
That's interesting when you talk about songwriting, and that's, as a music fan, listener, that always fascinates me how artists write their songs and then how that process works. Um, and I think, you once said that songwriting is like expressing the truth in just a few minutes. So is that a challenge for you to kinda almost maybe condense in, like, 3 or 4 minutes what you wanna convey?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's the antithesis. It's the same as I was a poet first. I'm a singer first, choir singer first, and then a writer, like in terms of order of connecting to these various forms. Um but I'm trained as a scholar, as a researcher. So writing these succinct 3-minute 3-minute songs is the antithesis of what I've been trained to do in the sense of, I've been trained and specialized in looking at an idea and kind of going so deep in that idea that it takes pages and pages and thousands and thousands of words to think through the idea. And so um, there's something so deliciously challenging and just like, are you kidding me? I have to try to say all this in, 2 verses. And a chorus that's supposed to repeat too. Like you can't even throw in a bunch of new things at the chorus. You gotta bring it back to the so that's like 4 bars that you can't get back. Like it's so yeah, it's great. It's great. But I also am trained as a journalist too, like further back. And so it brings me back to that. that kind of storytelling, the lead, getting your ideas together and expressing it, you know, with the
Wow.
melody.
I can sort of hear like obviously your different areas you're working in and you've have experiencing over a very long time that can be a bit of a push and pull happening. Do you
Yeah.
know how does it usually start for you with a song? Is it different every time or do you start like more with the lyrics or a rhythm or a feeling? Have you noticed any sort
Melody.
of patterns there at all?
I hadn't thought about it, but as you say it, immediately I think of melody.
Okay.
Melodies come to me. Melodies sometimes with words, often with like some words that give me a sense of what it's about. Like, so I don't always get the tempo right. Like Love Again is the first song I wrote on that album. And when it when I first started kind of hearing the melt that chorus, that Love Again, um, it was really slow. Like it was very slow. And I think it's because I was like trying to pull the ideas out. And then I had the songwriting session the next day or that morning because I was like middle of the night or late at night when I was writing it. Um, and in the session, John was like, "Okay, wait, we gotta bring the tempo up." And then he brought the tempo up. I was like, "Oh yeah, there we go, there we go." But it came in like this very slow song. So I think melodies are often first for me, often with a few words, and I can sometimes I'll get the melody for the verse too, at least a
Mm.
sketch of the melody for a verse. Um, and then with that sketch, I'll go back. Like that's what I did particularly for Grateful for this album. Um, John and I would write like two songs. We did two songs a day,
Wow.
and I would leave with the sketch of a structure, as and maybe I only had a couple words in the verse, but I would just sing them over and over again, trying to mapping out the length of the verse. And then I spent Gosh, I mean, I was writing, I think I was writing Grateful that day. I was finishing and revising because I can get deep into revising. So it's like I can go deep down the rabbit hole of like choosing words,
Mm.
which is fun as well
Mhm.
and frustrating. But yeah, that's kind of how I wrote it. So then I would take time away and then I would just work out those verses and like trying to have a story progress and um trying to write it so that it's open enough that other people could see themselves in it but specific enough that I in my mind know what I'm talking about, um
Wow.
so yeah, I find
Rabbit
it
hole.
challenging. And then there are like people like artists like Lil Wayne who just write like thousands and thousands of songs who just have words upon words upon words upon words. I'm not that songwriter.
Uh-huh.
No, I'm the one who's I mean sometimes you'll get a good stretch that's clear, but I'm more the one who's trying to work out line by line, word by word, moving verses around, wondering if how to clarify the story. Like, yeah, I'm not the spit it all out and then
Wow. Yeah.
another one. Yeah. So I have respect for that. I've never had that. That's not me.
Yeah. I'm finding it amazing when, some artists that just go away for like 2 months and they come back with, I don't know, 500 songs or whatever amount there is. And I'm like, how I mean, as I've not ever done it before, so I wouldn't even know where to start, but I'm just saying that's incredible to me.
Me too.
So,
Me too.
yeah. And you are
Yeah.
playing with words and art already, so, you're already in that kind of zone-ish somewhere.
That's true. That's true. Yeah, I'm always making something. Like
Yeah.
yeah. Mhm. I think too like that's one of the ways that music has been so helpful and important for me as
Mhm.
well. Then you get to hear like other folks doing it. It's there so often, and I'm sure for others as well, like that where you can turn on that song or songs
Mm.
or artists or album or playlist that just helps to realign and helps to kind of bring direction. And like similarly, that we can, and I know like that I will like choose music to help me in the moment. Like I was actually just doing it this morning. Um, like in terms of the headspace that we were in, I was with my daughter and um it's like, oh, we need these are just based on our conversation. Like I just picked a couple of songs, and
Mhm.
then we just listen to those songs together because they're the songs that we go back to when we need a particular kind of like, or she does, or I do, or like the conversation seems to warrant a kind of like confidence boost around knowing who oneself is and like just shoulders back and right and being
Yeah.
able to turn on and go to someone else who's like captured that in those 3 etc minutes, that they've captured that feeling and that it can like call in our spirits and I can like rise to that, the vibration of that song, regardless of whether or not that's where I was before. And
Mhm.
like that's the power and the
Yes.
beauty and the, I think, the responsibility of music and music makers too. Though I know not everybody feels that way, but yeah, I think deep down I feel that like that
I
there's a
th
responsibility there.
Yeah, and I guess there's a time and a place for every type of music. Sometimes you just don't wanna think too deeply, you just wanna have a little bit of fun, enjoy the moment, and that's why we need, I don't know, sort of the Eurodance stuff, for example. It's just joyful, it's good in the moment, and other times you probably need more nudges type of music. I mean, I know you've mentioned Bob Marley, for example, and I think he's a very,
Yeah.
very good example of how music really can impact more than just his fan base. It can impact the whole world, really. So I agree with you. That is, you know, truly important. And I think we need others to share a message in a way that feels kind of safe and not as
Mm,
confrontational, where I think music can do that because it bypasses basically your brain and goes straight to your heart. That's how I always see it. So
mm,
I don't know if you agree with that or what comes up for you in
yeah. I think the that we do need all kinds of music. Like
mhm,
that we need a range of voices and styles like that, and that is what's happening anyway. So I think like that just is, and it's like exciting. um I think real we're in a real moment of challenge around questions of like how artists are able to make their livelihoods from
mm,
music, based on the kind of streaming models and models of music sharing and of music consumption. So there's like that piece of it.
mhm,
And there are parts like to me that of me that do feel I come from that tradition of, I come from, I have, well, I do, I think generationally come from a tradition of like a particular engagement with community, like that is part of what has been generational on both sides of my family. Not in like necessarily big, huge ways, but consistent or ways that are engaging in community. And I guess like for me, that's where I track that notion, the notions of responsibility, like that the things that we are, because it can touch so deeply. What are we sharing? What are the words in particular that we're pairing with these melodies and these songs and these feelings and these emotions that we're conjuring up? Um, because they impact culture and they impact people, without question. And so,
mhm,
yeah, those are things I think of, those traditions of reggae music. In particular, of hip hop music, of like conscious hip hop music, of how meaningful it was for me when I was first really getting into hip hop to have artists like KRS-One and Common Sense, now known as Common, like yeah, Tribe Called Quest, like those records were so instrumental. The Roots. as were Peter Tosh, as was John Holt, as was Bob Marley, the Abyssinians, Burning Spear. So yeah, I gravitated towards that kind of music, and I think it's and that kind of um, art making that's connected and wanting to speak to community and to social issues in ways that are ideally not like didactic, or not shutting people down. I think I've been trying to get more like thoughtful and strategic. I wouldn't say thoughtful, just like, you know, just trying to navigate that space. I remember a Michael Franti interview that I heard years ago where he kind of talked about like how do you speak about the complex in ways that are um that make sense in song structure, as I like so those are some of the things that I'm thinking about, but those are the traditions of song making that I've been most and of art making that I've been most connected to and committed to and have been wanting to explore as an artist because I do feel that sense of a particular sense of responsibility that's generational and that I don't expect everybody else to to feel. Um, yeah.
Yeah. But it's just nice, I think, to have songs that do make you think or feel. I mean, if you look back on, like, especially if you want to go, and I'm just going to briefly touch on that, and then we can move on from it. Like when you have like political campaigns or anything, you have the music that plays such a huge part in it. And me growing up, that's kind of what I always noticed when I watched it on telly when there was anything going on. Kind of the music that came in and the mood it was setting, and how you can actually influence the audience with that. And I thought, and that obviously goes not just in politics, but watch a movie without the soundtrack.
Yeah.
It's such a, I think it, in a way, still underestimated art form,
Mhm.
um, that people kind of take for granted on a lot. And I just sit there and I go, really, don't you? I'm not an artist in any way, but I just listen to music and I've picked up on that. Surely you can too,
Mhm.
So that's why I love these conversations with artists like yourself, because you really put more substance, I think, and more explanations behind why. And I love
Mhm.
that. And I think that
Mhm.
should probably be talked about a bit more so we can really start to understand each other better, and even maybe even bridge some cultural issues we're having. I mean, the world right now is just crazy when it comes to that.
Mhm.
I just don't understand
Mhm.
how we can't live a bit more peacefully with each other and just have a conversation. And if music helps with that, please, you know, why do we always have to fight? I just don't get it. But that's a whole nother conversation. I don't want to drift into that.
Okay.
But yeah, it's I don't know how you see that from your point of view, because you've obviously done not just the songwriting or the poetry, but you've been digging much, much deeper into um I don't know, music, how that sort of works culturally and everything. So is that kind of a message that comes up for you when we talk about this? Anything that comes to mind?
I mean, I think about a lot of things.
Mm,
The so my expertise as a scholar are in Black expressive culture. I think a lot
mm-hmm,
about race and gender and performance in particular, um, and the many ways that culture, like art making, including music making, is so um, influential and impactful in terms of imagining who we can be and who we are, articulating what actually is taking place as well at kind of art making as a kind of journalism in a sense of like here are the facts. Like I think of when so-called gangster rap first began to emerge, that it was really recounting the realities, so many realities that were taking place. the violence, the police violence, the violence within the communities, like like just the very many layers of it, and expressing realities of people whose realities weren't being expressed much in the mainstream. Um, and from that, a whole, 4 or 5 decades later, we can look at, is it four? Maybe it's close to five already. Decades later, we can look at them, a massive worldwide influence that rap music, hip hop music has had. You watch, at least in the Canadian North American context, if you watch a sporting event, watch any, like, the major sporting events here around baseball, hockey, basketball, like hip hop music is everywhere. It's,
Yep.
you turn on the shows, the Netflix shows. It's in all, no matter what genre of Netflix show you're watching, Crave show, there's hip hop there.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so I think about, like, the way that, um, music can find its way into places that, um and be kind of become normalized in spaces, like can infiltrate spaces in a particular kind of way that sometimes people themselves can't, like where the music can go where the people themselves can't go.
Mm.
um, and so there's something really powerful and complicated about that, um, about how we can sometimes deal just with the music and not with the people, or just take the aspects of it that we want to, like, that, without necessarily connecting to the actual realities of the people making the music. That makes
Mm.
So that's like, music has this way of being able to move through political spaces, to shape them and shift culture, um, and to have access to places and people and spaces that sometimes the makers of the music themselves wouldn't be able to access.
Mm.
Yeah. Like, I remember when hip people were having panels on television shows about how horrible rap music was and how, it had no place. And then
Yeah.
I'm watching the Major League Baseball World Series or the NBA series. I'm like, well, apparently, I mean, it has a place everywhere. I'm, again, watching my Netflix crave shows, and I'm like, oh, I guess hip hop has a place everywhere. So that's just
Yeah.
one tiny example that I
Yeah.
pull based on, like, the things that I study,
Yeah.
um, to talk about the possibilities and the flexibility in
Mm.
ways of music. And I guess for me, because it is so mobile, that's where that feeling of, like, responsibility comes in. Like, I don't
Mm.
expect any poem, like, that I write to ever be anywhere. We don't hear poetry in particular places. Like, if you want to hear poetry, you've got to already care about poetry. Like, because you have to go find the poetry. You're not going to be flipping through channels or,
True.
going into a store and just hearing a poet, like, or seeing a play. Like, there are other mediums where you actively have to seek them out. Like, I
Mm-hmm.
make theater and write plays. Well, the only people who are coming there are folks who are already looking out for theater or connected to someone who's thinking about theater. Music is everywhere.
Yes.
It's
Yeah.
everywhere. And that's what makes it, in many ways, unique and, so powerful,
Yeah.
potentially, to do all kinds of things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Oh, I'm gonna be sort of thinking and pondering about so many things after our conversation. As the introverts do, we sort of digest over a bit of a longer period of time, and then all of a sudden it goes ping, 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 and everything just falls into place. But I love that. I really appreciate your sort of sharing the way you see it, and I think, yeah, it really gave me food for thought already. So thank you. I
Um,
love that. But back obviously to yourself a little bit more. We sort of talked about
mhm.
music and the general impact, but where do you see yourself going from here on with your music, or have you got anything else planned, art wise that's happening?
Well, with my music, I'm just I I'm grateful for grateful. Like I'm grateful for the album Grateful. I really am. I'm just like grateful for how well it's been received, that it's been in different parts of Europe, that it's playing across the country, that over the first, say the first 3 months maybe of its, or 4 months of its radio release, that every week a station, at least one station, pretty much, yeah, every week at least 1 to 3 stations, sometimes four, have added my album to the music that they play. So it's just been like slowly and steadily getting played more and more places, and like nobody stopped playing it since they started playing it.
Wow.
Even those folks who started like months ago, I've had this, it's charted, been on the charts at different spots at different stations, and um, in cities and provinces I've never been to. So that's been like amazing. I actually was number one on the best international world beat album at one of the stations. So
Wow.
I'm really, I'm grateful. I'm grateful that for so many things, including just like not giving up, like just
Mhm.
answering the call, um, to make the music. I'm so grateful for the musicians. Um, the drummer and bass player, Justin and bass one, all of my albums they've played on over the last 25 years. And every time I say like, "Okay, guys, I'd like to make another record," they're like, "Yes, we're there.
Let's do it.
Let's do it." And then Joey on keys, and Elijah on guitar. Like they've been on my last two albums. So I just feel really grateful. Grateful for the support of my publicist, Diane Foy, and the radio promoter, and
Hmm.
Andrea Morris. Like it's, yeah, folks are like, it's, I don't
They're
have
liking
plans
it.
other than just go. I'm like, I'm all teary eyed. Like, yeah, I don't have plans beyond just continuing to enjoy this experience and learning where it fits, and like
Mhm.
just amazed and happy that people are playing it,
Mhm.
and then they're still playing it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that feels pretty amazing, is what I would say. Like, it definitely gives me um energy and confidence, and a sense of like peace as well, and like relief. Though I didn't know I was feeling like, yeah, I guess I did know, but just like a kind of relief. So I've done my part, and it's like being received. So
Yeah.
that feels good. And that's just what I want to enjoy
Mhm.
and go where, and I get to like speak to you. I'm in Canada,
Yes,
you're in Australia. Like,
that's it.
how amazing is that? Like that, that you're interested in this work that I'm making. Like, this is what I mean. Like, I just, yeah,
It's incredible. It's
I'm grateful.
amazing. And so
That's
am
the
I,
only thing
because
I'm
if I
saying.
wouldn't do this, I would have never known about you. So
Mm,
it's
thank you.
music is just wonderful like that.
Yeah,
It is.
it really is. Yeah,
It truly
really is.
is.
Hmm.
If there is one thing you hope that anyone that listens to your song or songs takes away from it, what would that be? Have you thought about that?
Don't give up.
Don't give up. That's a
Don't
good
give
one.
up.
Hmm. That's a good
Yeah,
one. Yeah.
on yourself, on the world, on your communities, on our
Hmm.
families. Like, just don't give up.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Simple, but powerful. Yeah.
powerful. Yeah.
I just had to take a pause here because I felt it was needed, and there's so much I'm going to walk away with that I really have to digest and ponder about, and I'm grateful for that.
Mhm.
And I would love to say a big thank you for just being here and sharing what you have. I think there will be so much more, but it also feel like it's enough. So a
Mm.
big thank you for coming on the show and being on the B side with me for a little bit. Your album Grateful, it can be found, the links can be found in the episode notes. So please go and check it out and also let us know what you thought if you have listened to it. We would love to know. And maybe request it or play it a bit more so it can go into other countries, not just where they are now. Right. Anything else you feel like you want to add? Anything coming up, or you're just exhaling now?
I'm exhaling and saying thank you so much for the thoughtful conversation,
You're welcome.
and for the space to talk about music. Yeah, and to talk about my music as well. It's been yeah, just like I'm grateful for it. And thank you everybody who's listening and making time in the midst of all of the complexities of life. Yeah, I just
Yes.
appreciate the time and space.
Yes. For taking a little bit of time out for themselves and
Mm.
being here with us. I'm very grateful and appreciative as well. All right. Thanks, Naila, for being here today. B-siders, again, thank you for spending a little bit of time on the B side today. I hope you've enjoyed it. And yes, if anything resonates, please do feed it back to us. Would love to hear from you. Other than that, you take care, and I'm sending you, as always, much music and love. Take care for now. Bye. Bye bye.